Hey, good morning, Lakeview Intermediate. It is Tuesday morning and it is December 1st. So I have these awesome, I think they're reindeer glasses. I'm pretty sure I don't know. They're cool. They're sparkly and I see antlers. So I've got these because it's December 1st and we are 3 weeks away from winter break. So I put on a little bit of the holiday spirit today. So good morning. Good to see you on this Tuesday morning, December 1st. Let's get into our morning announcements today. First one is, remember, talent show videos are due to Mrs. Baker in Schoology by Friday. She's going through the acts, picking out the ones that are have followed the directions. So remember, if you're doing that, read the directions that were sent out in Schoology. Off the top of my head, no more than 3 minutes, making sure you can hear you, and if there's music, we can hear you over the music. Everything's school appropriate. What you say, what you do, your dress, all that stuff. And if you meet all those requirements, we want to include that during liftoff next week and the week before winter break if we have enough acts. So those are due Friday to Mrs. Baker. And then we'll start showing them during liftoff. So excited. Show us your talent, Lakeview. You've got 4 days. Turn them in, and you will be broadcast on Liftoff Live forever. That's awesome because it's on YouTube. So anyway, hope everybody has a way to showcase their talent. We'd like to see that. Next, just like you're being responsible here at Liftoff every day, I want to remind everyone about attending all of your classes and making sure you are where you're supposed to be. Mrs. Frame and I have been getting, sometimes we get contacts, your teachers get contacted by parents wanting to know if their kids are at every class. And we have teachers starting to make phone calls if they haven't seen students in class or turning in work and all that. So make sure you are attending all your classes. This includes like specials and electives. So when your teacher says, okay, time for specials, then you need to make sure you show up at that Zoom and make sure, again, all those CLP guidelines I shared about participating, smiling at your teacher, eye contact, answering questions in the chat or out loud however they ask you to answer questions, participating and being there is so, so important. And then the 12:30 to 1:30 intervention time, if your teacher asks you to be somewhere during that time, then make sure you're there. You're expected to be there if a teacher asks you to be there. So show you're responsible, show your Miller 5, be where you're supposed to be during the day, because I've started hearing stories of students not being there, and I don't want to be the one making those phone calls saying, no, we haven't seen him in Zoom for 4 days. And then that's not a fun phone call to make and have. And besides, your teachers are doing awesome things for you. So be there and learn and grow. And that's what it's all about. So just make sure you're where you're supposed to be. That's my reminder for today. All right. Next, it is time for, I'm digging because I got to have my music here. Where's that? Here it comes. It is time for... not Admit 1, I'm skipping it. We're going to go back to Admit 1. The Miller 5 shout out. All right, so let's see who our Miller 5 shout out is today. This one, oh my gosh, this one came from 6th grade. And Miss Stewart shared this one with me. And it actually goes right along the lines of what I was just talking about. So, Carmen Velasco, Abigail Moore, Julia Weddington, Lixie Maldonado, and Caleb Ruiz. I'm looking at you. You are our Miller 5 shout out. Why, you might ask? Well, let me tell you what Miss Stewart said. She goes, they show up and do everything asked during CLP, especially their 6th-hour class. They're really responsible to show up, even though it's after lunch, which is sometimes hard to do. They don't complain, and they work hard the whole time. Oh my gosh, loving it. So Carmen, Abigail, Julia, Lixie, and Caleb, that is what I'm talking about. Showing the Miller 5, being there, being responsible, and working hard. That's why you are the Miller 5 shout out today. Congratulations and great job being recognized by your teacher on such a worthy thing. That is fantastic. All right. Now, I put these out of order. That was my mistake. So I'm going to back up to Admit 1, and I'm going to bring in our wonderful counseling team at Lakeview. I know you love them and can't wait to see them. Here they are, Mrs. Mann and Miss Conklin. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good.
Awesome.
Doing good.
Good. So what do we got? I'm going to take myself out. Well, I've got to stay here, I guess, for the audio, but go ahead.
Well, you know how last week we talked a little bit about being thankful, being grateful, and I showed you, just make a quick list of 10 things that you're thankful for. One of those things that a bunch of kids wrote down was they're thankful for their friends. And I'm so glad that you're thankful for your friends. And so we have to be careful in order to keep our friends. We have to be careful of how we treat our friends and people who are not so much our friends. So we've got a little video for you to watch today, and then we're going to talk about it in just a second. So Mr. Hine, take it away.
I'm working on it.
Y'all are going to love the video. It's really cute.
Here it comes.
Created using Powtoon.
I don't know. I don't know what that was, but it was fun.
All right. So friends, you need to remember that we need to think before we speak. You know what? That is an old adage for a reason, because it is great life advice. Whether you're 5 years old, whether you're in 5th grade, whether you're 55 or older or younger or anywhere in between, think before you speak. All right. All right. Let's take a look at our PowerPoint. And Miss Conklin is going to start us off with T.
All right. So whenever we
Will you flip it to the next one?
There we go. All right. So when we think about things, we want to say, is what I'm about to say true? Is it a fact or is it my opinion? How do you know if it's true? Did you observe it yourself? Did you do it yourself? Is it gossip or a rumor? That's definitely something you want to think about before you say. Did you see it with your own eyes? Did you hear it with your own ears? So I think the most important thing to ask yourself is, what I'm about to say true? Because we can really get caught up when we talk about gossip and rumors. We can get caught up, even as an adult, in just making something bigger and bigger. And then by the time the group of people hears it, it's not even anywhere close to what the real truth is.
Yep. After T, next comes H. And for H, it's, is it helpful? So who or what is what you're about to say? Who or what is it helping? Would someone want to hear this? I'm going to throw one in there. Would someone need to hear that? Would you think it's helpful if someone said this to you? These are all questions you need to ask yourself before you speak. Would you think it's helpful if someone said this about you? There's that empathy coming back in, right? You put yourself in someone else's shoes. So you need to stop and think for a minute and remember, the hardest part is to stop. Okay? Stop and think before you speak. So you need to ask yourself, is this helpful to the situation?
Is it inspiring? Is what you're about to say going to inspire someone? Is this role model behavior? Would this motivate you to think that is a fantastic idea? Or are these words that a leader would speak? So think about what you're saying. Be in control of what you're saying. If you see something great happening or you have a wonderful idea, tell us about it. Tell someone about it. Don't just keep it to yourself, because we want to celebrate you and we want to see what all you're thinking.
And so then comes in, and is it necessary? Do you need to be the person saying this? Does it need to be said right here, right now? I tell kiddos sometimes when I get to go into the classroom and do guidance. In the past, I've said, I love to tell jokes. I love to be funny, but there's a time and there's a place, just like this. You don't need to interrupt your teacher when she's up there, she or he's up there teaching something, and then you interrupt and tell everybody what you're having for dinner, right? That's not the right time. That's not the right place. So when you're talking to other people or about other people, you need to make sure that it needs to be said right then, okay? And then the last question is, does it have to be said, or do you just want to say it? Are you just wanting to be in the conversation and act like you know some information? If it's not necessary, keep it to yourself.
Is it kind? I think this is one of the most important things that you have to think about. Is what I'm about to say kind? Would you want someone to say this to you? Are these nice words? Would these words make you smile or frown? Guys, when you are getting older, if you aren't being kind with your words, they said something in the video that says people won't want to be around you. Only they said it the opposite. They said, if you're being kind, people will want to be around you. And this is so true. You've really got to think about what you're going to say, because I know that deep inside we can all find something positive to say.
Yeah, and you know what? The last slide just reminds us that we just need to think. We need to have this acronym of THINK and all of these things, right? So here's what I want you to remember. Not everything that pops into your brain needs to come out of your mouth, okay? That is something that you've got to get in your head, because it needs to become practice. It needs to become habit, okay? So practice that. Not everything that pops into your brain needs to come out of your mouth, because not everything is true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, or kind. Okay? Just because you have the knowledge doesn't mean you have to share the knowledge. Okay? Put yourself in the other person's place, have some empathy, and if you wouldn't want it said about you, don't say it. And Mrs. Conklin, I'm going to throw something else out there. It's not just saying with our mouth, with our words. It's also saying with these things, with our fingers. We type a whole lot now, whether you're texting, whether you're chatting on, YouTube or Schoology, or even if you're playing video games and you're doing all that chat with your words and stuff, think before you speak. Okay. Just great life advice to hold on to, even until, you're really, really old. Okay. So start thinking.
Yeah, I know some really, really old people that don't think before they speak.
I do too.
So,
it's a good reminder for any age. Any age needs to remember this.
Any age.
Oh, great message, ladies.
You guys like to use those filters when you take pictures, right, to make you look different. So this is your filter. This is your think filter before you speak or type.
Great advice. Wonderful. Well, thank you, ladies, for that great edition of Admit One. I've got to, let me see here. I've got to switch that back to our liftoff so we can see our joke of the day. And we'll bring in Mrs. Frame. I caught myself. I almost said Miss Tazi. I'm still getting used to it, Mrs. Frame.
I'm
Good morning.
Also.
But I can just add that extra syllable. I was like, Mrs. Add to it. So I try to cover it up. Anyway, okay. So the corny joke of the day. It is December, so we're going to start off with kind of a winter December themed corny joke of the day. You ready?
We're ready.
Here we go. Do you ladies know, how does a penguin build a house? It glues it together. So there's a wintertime December corny joke of the day. There you go. All right. Well, you had to laugh for the day. Mrs. Mann, Miss Conklin, thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. Thanks for your message today.
Hey, can I say one more thing? I forgot.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Conklin and I are starting Lunch Bunch Zooms, and today is 6th grade. So I've already posted it on Schoology. So if you want to see us at lunch, bring your lunch. We want you to eat, but we'll be on Zoom at 11. So 6th grade
that
today.
Idea. That's wonderful. Join them. You heard it here. And if your friends aren't in Liftoff, if they aren't, let them know. Message them and let them know. On that note, just a reminder, make sure you do check your messages on Schoology, because sometimes you get an important message from a teacher or from us. Check your updates. We do school updates on just things like that. We don't want students missing out. So remind your friends that important messages go out on updates and in direct messaging in Schoology. We don't want students to miss out on messages. Great reminder. All right. Thank you, ladies. All right, Miss Tazi, let's get to our pledges.
Said Miss Tazi.
I did. Busted. All right. Mrs. Frame, take it away.
Okay, please quietly stand up and join me for the flag salutes. Remember, during the pledges, you are not chatting. You're being respectful and reciting the pledges with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Oklahoma flag salute. I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma. Its symbols of peace unite all people. You may be seated for your moment of silence. During this time, you may reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in other silent activity.
All right. Well, it's a terrific Tuesday. Your teachers are ready and waiting for you here in 10 minutes with your first class of the day. So grab yourself a quick bite of breakfast if you haven't. Use the restroom. Be ready and ready to go at 8 o'clock with your first class. Like I said, make sure you're where you're supposed to be. That's best learning happens if you can be there live with your teacher. That's why we do it this way until we can be back at school. So thank you for everybody for showing your responsibility and doing what you're supposed to do so we can keep learning going at Lakeview. Let's launch a terrific Tuesday, Mrs. Frame. I did it again. We are
Lakeview.
We are not
Average.
We will strive
For the Miller 5.
And whatever it takes, we will
Grow.
Yes, ma'am. 3, 2, 1.
Lift off.
All right. Have a great day, my magnificent